Well, welcome yogis and good morning. Welcome to our KYA class. In case you don't know, my name is Mike. This is Dave. He's going to be joining me today. So together we'll be leading you yogis through a all-around yoga practice today. So we'll start a little warm-up and let's start right where we are on the ground. Let's start with our hips. So I'm just going to do a little hip switching. So I'm going to start by opening up a bit. I'm going to have the feet open. You can stay that way, either way. And just give these hips a moment or two. I'm going to lean back. When you lean back, it's a lot gentler. It's a lot easier to do the hip switch. So if you know this movement, you just start to do it at your own pace. If you're new, I'm going to go slow this first time. I'm going to bring my right leg over. I'm going to make a little adjustments so I can get my right knee right down near my heel. And I'm going to try to get that right ankle to be pressing the mat. And then I'm going to switch it. And when you're switching it, you just, you find a pace that feels good. And you just do that back and forth. So it's a nice little internal rotation for one hip and an external rotation for the other hip. And you're just going back and forth with that. And the more you lean back as you go, then it's a little bit easier to do it. And if some of you have been up and about already, then your hips are feeling pretty good and you want to get a little deeper into them, you start to sit up more vertical. And you can even try to do the switch without using your hands. But then you really gotta work a little bit. And for me, that's not much of a warm-up. It's a little too much for me, but you decide. So just go back and forth a few times, just start to get them a little loosened up. Maybe getting a little twist. Go in there if you want to do that. You can do a little reach. Gentle, all right, gentle. Switch, maybe a little reach. And when you do that, if you're doing a reach, keep the belly a little pulled in. Keep it engaged just to protect the back. All right, now let's come back. Let's come down on the back. So we're gonna warm up a bit through the lower body here. We start with the hips. We'll come into the ankles and the knees a bit. So I'm gonna come sideways. I'm gonna come on my back to come into those ankles and those knees. So let's just turtle up. So we'll come up. We'll bring our hands right behind our head. You come forward a little bit, Dave, if you want. And then let's just do one leg. So I'm gonna reach my right leg up and I'm gonna work through the ankle to start. Just working right through that ankle. Drawing your circles. You do about 6 or 7 in one direction. You go the other way. Back and forth around. And if you're like me, you get little pops. Now for that knee, what I'm going to do for the knee is I'm going to flex or compress it, and then I'm going to open it back up. So I'm going to do a little bit. I'm staying on one side of the leg. The other leg, you do what you want with it. And you're just trying to give that knee a little bit of time. You also can get through the hamstring a bit when you do that. The quad, you can engage that quad a bit. All right, now let's switch sides. I'm going to bring my left leg up. I'm going to start with the ankle. I'm going to roll it around maybe 7 or 8 times. You can feel it coming down in your calf a bit too. Your shin. And I'm going to go the other way. Hear little pops. Okay, now how about for that knee? We'll do a little bit of that bending and straightening, working a bit in the hamstring and the quad as we do that. Really training ourselves to focus on whatever part of the body we're working with, really focusing the mind there. So focusing on the knee, how it feels, and the quad, getting it engaged. Now let's see if we can shoot both legs straight up. Hopefully we can keep that. Sometimes if your hips are tight, your hamstrings are tight, it's hard to get them straight to the vertical, so do what you can. And now let's bend the knees. We'll come into the Pilates toe taps, just to warm up the core of it. So I'm tapping one at a time. Keeping the head and the shoulders a little bit off the ground. can be actually a little easier. If you set them down, you can do that too. But you got to be a little more focused on not letting the back arch. If you bring your shoulders and your head down to the ground, and just take your time. Start to focus on the breathing, all right? Start to get that breath smoothed out, let's say. Try to keep the breath in a nice rhythm. Keeping the breath nice and calm, let's say. And just tapping it out. I'm going to tap it out 4 more times. So I'm on 4. I'm on 3. I'm on 2. I'm on 1. All right, I'm going to hug it in a moment. Take a moment. I do a little left or right. A little rolling. And then let's come down into our bridge. All right, we'll come into our London bridges. So I'm going to bring both feet to the mat. They're about hips distance apart. I walk them back just a bit. And I reach out. I always grab the edges of my mat, or some people just press their palms into the mat. Either way. And for the London bridges, you're just slowly raising your bridge up, coming up one section of the spine at a time. You come up to the top, you're in your shoulder space, right? Your shoulder girdle. You're not really in your neck, and you're looking straight up. And then when you're ready, you slowly lower your bridge. And you're trying to do that one section of the spine at a time. We just do a few of those. You raise it up, coming right up in the shoulders. You can squeeze the glutes a bit, coming back down. And at the very bottom, you do a little pelvic tilt. And then come back up. So when you do a little pelvic tilt, you just get a little bit more into the low back. And you come down. And you can fire those glutes. Squeeze the glutes up. Come back down. How about one more time? Raise the bridge up. And this last time, when you come up, let's stay up a few breaths. And some of you can walk your fingers together under there, and you interlace your fingers if you can do that. And then try to turn the shoulders down, maybe one at a time. Just coming up a little bit more under the shoulders and the shoulder blades. And then you're pressing the arms into the mat just a bit to open up that heart of it. And then you release it, right? When you're ready, you slowly come back down, release your clasp. Now after the back bend, counter that pose. Hug in the knees and then bring your forehead right up towards your knees. So you're going to a little ball again. And then if you're on a relatively comfortable floor, you could rock and roll that a few times if you like. If that floor isn't too hard, it feels good. And we're going to come up, all right, to let's come up in, let's work on, we'll come up under our knees for a little bit before we get to the tabletop. Let's work now a little bit. We've done the ankles, the knees, the hips. Let's come a little bit into the wrists and the elbows before we come and put pressure on them. So I'm going to start with a little rolling. I'm trying to work through the wrists and also the elbows a bit. So I'm just doing a little waving. And I'm starting to get a little more attentive to my breathing. When we come to our cat-cows, we can really start to focus more on our breath. And I'm going the other way. All right, shaking around a bit. A little bit for the shoulders. We'll come back to the shoulders. A little rolling both ways. All right, now let's come into our tabletop pose. So bringing the hands, I'll face you, yogis. Dave can be side view. I've got my knees right under my hips. My hands are right under my shoulders. And I'm going to start with the low back. So I'm going to start with a little wag of the tail. If you want to start like that, a little side to side. Or get right into a little roll if you want to. So the roll, I'm just kind of rolling right through the hip space, rolling right into that low back. Or if you're going side to side, you're working more right. You're kind of waving your hips, your tail, you're swishing your tail, I guess you could say. And then let's try to start to spiral a few times. So the spiral is you start with the low back and you start to kind of take that little roll and you climb it right up your spine. So we're just really warming up the spine with smooth movements, articulated movements, let's say, all the way up the spine, and then trying to reverse your direction. All right, let's come back to the center. Now, let's come into the center, excuse me. Let's find a few cat-cows. So now with our breathing, we can be a little more focused here. I'm going to breathe in for the cow and let the belly drop down. And then when I exhale, that's my cat pose. I'm going to arch the spine. Breathing in, you can gently press the belly down. You'll feel that coming in the low back a bit. You can release the hips. And then when you exhale, you can draw in a bit in the belly and the heart. Arch it up. Just breathe in. Try not to bend the elbows. Keep the arms straight. Maybe look up. And when you exhale, press it down. Oh, nice. Let's come back to the neutral now. Take a moment here. Just take a moment and check in with that spine. Wiggle it around a bit. I'm going to tuck my toes under from here, yogis. We're going to come up to our down dog. So I curl the toes under. And I'm going to take a moment there and press the heels back. So I'm pressing the heels back towards the wall. I feel that little stretch come in the soles of my feet. And then I'm going to start to lift those knees up. And then, make your way to your dog. And then take a few moments to just warm up your dog. I'm walking my dog. Walking, it just means you're bending one knee. And then you go to the other side. You're just going to go back and forth. And when you do that one leg, when you bend the one knee, hopefully you can straighten the other leg out. So you can play. You may have to adjust the angles in your hips. You may have to dip the hip down a bit to do that. Just do a little back and forth. See what you can do with that one. And then from here, I'm going to slowly start to walk my hands back towards my feet. All right, and I'm keeping my knees a little bit soft as I come back, so they're a little bent. And when I get back there, I'm going to take a moment and just hang here. See if you can shift the weight just a little bit subtly and towards the balls of the feet, and see if you can get your belly to kind of drape a bit over your thighs. And your head just hangs. I'm going to clasp my elbows here, sway a little back and forth. And then let's start to rise up. And we can walk the hands up the front of the legs, or let your arms just kind of dangle. And as you come up, then you get to inhale, and as we inhale, we get to stretch up. So I'm going to breathe in, open up a bit. And as you exhale, can we do a little side stretch? For one side, I'm going to stretch my right side. And then for my other side, I'm going to inhale, lengthen the middle. And as I exhale, a little stretch. Let's try it one more time, all right? This time, if you want, interlacing the fingers so the hands stay together. It opens the shoulders up a little bit more if you want that, and then try to go side. And then breathe length in the middle when you're ready. And as you exhale, nice. And then we'll come back to the center. Just let those arms come down a moment. Take a moment, shake them out a little. Move it around a little bit. Back and forth. All right, a little more warm up for us. Let's warm up the balance just a bit. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to come into a little bit of about, feet about hips distance apart or so, shoulder distance apart. And to warm up that balance, let's begin with the easier one, right? I'm going to begin with just a little back and forth, just to get used to standing on one foot. Now, for this class, when I teach this in the studio and it's 100 degrees, there's a pretty strong pattern I usually follow, which is we kind of start after we get the warm up done. We start with the standing poses, and then we go into the flow. And that works well because it's so hot, so the body is very ready to come right into those poses. You can go deep into those poses. But here, where you are, probably it's not 100 degrees. Here it's like 70 degrees in the room. So I'm going to blend this class a little. We'll warm up a little bit more with flow, and then start to weave some of our poses, if you will, those formal standing poses like the eagle wraps. We'll weave those in as we warm up more. So that's the idea. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's take a moment here and just come a bit into the hips, in the hip flexor. So I'm going to just lift my right leg up. And now that balance hopefully is feeling good. I'm going to come down. I'm just going to bring it straight up just like 4 times, right? And how high you go is up to you. 3 times. 2 times. And that standing leg, 1 time. Nice, right? Come on, let's switch sides. That leg that's standing, I want you to focus on that one as well. So now my right leg is the standing leg. It's nice and firm. The quads a bit engaged, the glutes a bit engaged, and then I lift up my other leg. Coming right in that hip flexor for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Not bad, right? Part 2, we do the hip, we open the hip off a bit more, one at a time. So we're really kind of coming into like that warrior 2. So I lift it and I open it. I try to keep the left hip square. I bring it down, maybe tap the ground if you want, bring it up and close it. So just do a few of those. And you don't have to go too big. So that may mean the knee doesn't go too high. It may mean you don't open it up too wide. Just find the right amount as a warm up. It's nice to warm up some of the patterns a little bit ahead of time. All right, let's come down before we start to use those in the poses. Now let's come to the other side. Lift, open, try to keep that right hip. If that's your standing leg, keep that hip squared up. Open. How about one more time on this side? Okay, nice. Okay, so I shake it around a little bit. I will begin our poses with a nice blend of a pose and a warm-up. I'm going to start us with a chair, right? A chair, our awkward chair that many of us know this one. So for this chair pose, I'm going to bring my feet together to start, and I'm going to breathe. So let's take a moment and just breathe. And I'm going to just step or hop them out just a bit. All right? They're going to be about shoulder width apart. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to start to sit down a bit. So I'm trying to shift the weight a bit back into my heels. So I'm not going to go too low. It's tough. I feel it in my shins. And when I look down, I want to see my tips of my toes a little bit in front of my knees. And I don't want to be hunched over. Try to keep that heart open. And now to warm up these shoulders a bit more, I reach the arms out and I do a few circles, those shoulders. Move for David. So I'm working in the shoulders and the shoulder blades, and it's just a nice slow movement there to warm them up. And now I'm going to reverse those circles. Try to work into the shoulder blades there too. So as you circle back, keep the shoulder back in the ears. Maybe sit a little lower. And just giving those legs now. Start to squeeze the glutes a bit here, right? Fire the glutes, fire the quads. And now slowly give those legs a moment. I'm going to release. I'm going to come up right up on my toes. Sorry, now for part 2, I'm going to stay on my toes and start to sit again. So for this chair, my knees are shooting forward. I'm right up on my tippy toes. This is a tough one if you're not used to this. And I'm going to lift up my heels a little higher. Try to keep your knees straight and parallel with each other. Keep that heart open. Squeeze those thighs, all right? Squeeze those thighs. Hold them tight. And if you want to do a little for the arms, do a little tap, 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 tap. And I'm starting to get a little bit warmed up now. And now tap it up, 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 up. All right, let's come up. Give those legs a moment or two. Try to keep the arms out. If you want, just lean back. Just a moment. Now come back up on the toes just a little bit, all right? Heels off the ground just an inch or two. This is an awkward chair. I'm bringing my knees together. You can see that in the camera, and I'm pressing, I'm lowering a bit. Good for the knees here. Don't go too low. Now really try to press those knees in, and then just see if you can do a little rotation with those shoulders of yours. Press those knees, firm legs, just for 3, 2. Okay, on 1, come up, and those legs, hold up, maybe warmed up. Take a moment, find a little back bend. We're gonna breathe in, open up, and as you exhale, I'm gonna find a little stretch for the hamstrings. I'm gonna fold forward. For this stretch, I'm gonna bend my knees, let my belly come, my thighs, bring my hands behind my legs. All right, maybe just, it feels good just to grab your Achilles here, your calves, or some of you, if you wanna go to the deeper pose, you bring your fingers right under your heels. Slide them under there. Let the head drop. I'll do the modified version, right? I'm just gonna hug that. Let the head hang. And then maybe the hamstrings are ready to stretch a bit more. Start to straighten the legs if you can. But try to keep that belly nice against the thighs. And then breathe, yogis. Find that breath. Breathe in through the belly. Feel the belly press your thighs. Breathe out. One more breath. Breathe in through the belly. Breathe out. And now as you breathe in, release. We'll come back up. Breathe in. And as you exhale, just let the hands come to the heart. Take a moment or two. We'll take a step up to the top of our mat. We'll come to a mountain pose. I'm going to adjust the camera just a bit. And yogis, come to your breathing here. So I think our feet might be a little bit off the ground, off the view, but it'll be okay. Now we'll come into our sun salutations and we'll start to work into our flow. So first, let's find the breath. I'm a little bit winded, so take a moment or two, find the alignment. The feet can come right together. The arms can be right to the side. The legs can be just a bit active. Quads engaged. And breathe, yogis. Breathe in. Breathe out. If your nose is clear, you breathe into the nose. And you breathe out. All right, Surya Namaskar A. We'll do one on the right side, we'll do one on the left side. And we'll take our time in the beginning. So I'm going to breathe in, reach up. And as I breathe out, I'm going to release. And I'm going to bend my knees a little bit in the beginning. Then when I inhale, I come up halfway, I extend out the head, half flat back. And as I exhale, I plant those hands, stepping back to plank. I'm going to take a moment this first time just to get myself lined up nicely. So I don't want my hips lifting. I don't want them dropping and sagging in the low back. Tight plank. Hands right under the shoulders, fingers a little bit spread out. Press away from the mat. So you press the hands and you kind of lift the shoulder blades a little bit apart from each other and away from the ground. Keeping the glutes engaged, keep the belly braced. Now we're going to lower. I'm going to lower all the way down the mat this first time and modify it. I'm going to slowly come down, try to keep the elbows pretty tucked in. And then when you come all the way to the mat for the modification, you release the feet and you lift the heart, a cobra. Lifting the heart. I'm not pressing into the ground. I'm just lifting the heart up a bit. I'm going to release. And for another modification, I use my knees. I press up off the knees. Then I lift the hips up to down dog. So that's our easiest version, right? You could go even a little easier if you need to and use your knees to lower yourself. But try to lower yourself without the knees and then use the knees on the way up. Now find your breath here again. Walk that dog a little bit more if you need to. Now let's look up to the hands. And I'm going to start by stepping my right foot up to come back. And that right foot, it may not make it too far. Do what you can. And then the left foot's going to fall. And then I'm going to inhale halfway up. And I'm going to exhale forward, forward. When I inhale, I rise all the way to the top. I reach up. And when I exhale, I'm going to bring my hands to my heart. I'm going to take a moment. We'll come to the other side now. We'll breathe in. And we'll breathe out. Inhale halfway, extend out, lengthen that spine. As you exhale, plant the hands, step back, and if you can, all in one exhale, lower. This time I'm going to hover, chaturanga, or go all the way to the ground. When you breathe in, if you're in chaturanga, just sweep the up dog. So you come on the tops of the feet, and then as you exhale, you just roll across the feet, and you come to your down dog. So that's your non-modified version, you could say. And now you're in your dog. Find your breath again. I step my feet just a little bit closer to my hands when I'm coming to the dog. And I'm just trying to get a little more length in my spine. So I'm pressing the hands, the base of the hands, right with the index fingers come into the palms. You can press that in the mat as you reach your hips up and back. Now let's look up at the hands and let's try to step the left foot up as best we can. We try to control that up there, and the right foot follows. And then we inhale halfway up, and you exhale, forward fold. You inhale, rise all the way up, and as we exhale, let's just keep going. So as I exhale, I'm going to release it back down. I'm going to inhale halfway, extend out. And as I exhale, I plant the hands, step it back, and all one breath, maybe I lower. When I breathe in, a cobra if you're on your belly, or you sweep to your up dog. And as you exhale, you roll it back. Take a moment. All right, we're going to come into our lunge here, starting with the right side. So I'm going to first inhale my right leg up high, and I'm going to open the hip a bit and watch the wall that's behind you. See if you can get the hip to open. Point the knee a little bit up. Just work in there a bit. Feel that coming to the side of the body there too. And now I'm going to bring it back, hit to square that hip. And now look up and try to bring that foot way up between your hands. And if it didn't make it, help it out a bit. All right, let's start just coming up into a low lunge. And get a minute, get your balance. You can rest on that front leg if you need to. Dave can show you the modification maybe. You can bring your knee, your back knee could come down if that helps. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a little length in the spine first, wherever I am, reaching the crown of the head forward, the heel back, and I'm going to come up to crescent pose. So as I do that, I don't come up too high, I don't lift the hips up, I just kind of bring the torso to vertical and reach up. And this is where a lot of us may want to bend that back knee because of the low back. If it doesn't like that pressure, you bend that knee a bit, you can even come to the ground. If it's okay, you straighten it. You want to get a little bit of an opening going through your left front hip. Right in there, right into your groin space even a bit. And you want to try to get that heart of yours to open up. So I don't want the shoulders to pack in, all right? I want them to be a little bit away from the ears and the neck. And I'm just breathing here. Beautiful breathing in your belly. It's tough, that belly's tight and stretched like this. Try that again. Breathe into your belly. Strong right leg. Breathe out. Now I'm going to rotate this a bit. So I'm going to extend it first out to that big lightning bolt. That's to get length in the spine. Now for the rotation, I'm going to start with a gentle twist. So I bring my left hand down, and then I twist. What makes this gentle is I'm not letting all the weight go over my left shoulder. My right leg is sharing the load. My belly's pulled in a bit as I reach up. Now I'm going to try the internal, external rotation. This is a trickier one. So I'm going to come in this low runner's lunge. My hands on the inside of my foot. And I'm going to try to stay low in the hip and reach the left arm up. That one would be tricky. I'm looking down for my balance as I do this. And I'm trying to open that right hip up, kind of actively opening it up. That right knee reaches out towards that right pinky toe. And I'm breathing, breathe into that belly. Breathe out. A lot of work in that leg, right? I'm going to come back down now. And I'm going to just bring my hand to the outside of that foot and step back. Take a breath. Bend your plank. Now let's lower to the other side. I drop it. When I breathe in, I sweep it. When I breathe out, I roll it back. And maybe you add a push-up if you want to do that, all right? Take a moment and find your breath. When you walk the feet in, we'll come to the left side. I'm going to inhale the left leg up. I'm going to open that left hip just a bit. And then bring the hip back to level or square. Now look up at your hands. Try to step your left foot way up. If it didn't make it, you help it out a bit. Come up, take a moment if you need it for your breath. I don't know if you can quite see the back of my right leg, but the heel's off the ground. All right, I'm just in the ball of my foot, and then I'm going to establish the length. Now my left knee is right over my ankle. If you go up a little higher, it can be a little gentler. Now we're going to slowly come to crescent. Try to actively press down with your left foot so that left leg becomes very strong. Then you use that power in your base to raise up. Remember, you can bring your right knee on the ground for A nice modification. Try to bring the shoulder blades down a bit. Open it up a bit to the heart. And now find that breath. If you can, breathe right into your belly. The belly pushes out a bit. Exhale. Breathe into that belly. You breathe out. I'm going to come into that the lightning ball at the moment. So I want to establish the length in the spine before I twist. I drop my right hand, drop down. I stay long in the spine. I'm trying to equally distribute the load between my left leg and my right shoulder. My left glute, I feel that in there. My belly's a little bit engaged. And now try to breathe into your belly. And breathe out. Tough with that twist there. Try that one more time. Breathe into the belly. Breathe out. And we'll finish with the external rotation of that body and hip. So I come to the runner's lunge. I'm going to look down the whole time. My left shoulder's right on the inside of my left knee. And then I turn and I try to open. I'm going to look down at first. And then if I'm adventurous, I'll look up. Tight. Strong lead leg. All right, that leg is really pressing in. Now breathe into your belly. You breathe out. We breathe into the belly. We breathe out. Beautiful. I come back. Step that foot back. Maybe the hand goes outside first, or maybe you just float it back. All right. Take a moment. Bring your hands right on the shoulders. Eyes, the elbows coming a little forward. You're doing a little rotation. Then as you drop, elbows are nice and tight on the side of the body. When you inhale, you sweep up. And as you exhale, maybe if you want to, you do a push-up, or maybe two, on the way to down dog. Take a breath. Back to the right side, back to crescent. As you're ready, inhale, right leg up high. And as you exhale, step it up. Now one breath, you come up to that crescent. And as you exhale, take a moment, settle in. See if you can get a nice strong lead leg. Left heel reaching back up. That leg is kind of straightened out. And then I'm going to open up to warrior two. So I'm going to just open it up. There you are. So for the warrior two, you may need to make an adjustment or two. Your back foot, when you look back, you want to see that it's parallel to the back of the mat. Front foot's perpendicular. Front knee is opening, let's say it's tracing down to the middle of the foot or maybe a little bit towards the pinky toe. And trying to keep that left hip squared up, those shoulders squared up. And breathe. Let that breath settle in. Strong legs. That's going to help you breathe. Those legs ground themselves into the ground. Right into the mat. Now from here, gentle side angle. All right, a gentle side angle. So I'm going to bend my knee or bend my elbow here. I'm going to press gently into my thigh or maybe just rest it. It's very gentle on the leg though. It's just kind of hanging there, hovering almost, but because I want the action to be reaching up and looking up. If the neck's okay, look up. If the neck prefers, you look down. Now strong right leg, press down, and now breathe into your belly. You breathe out. You breathe into the belly. You breathe out. And as you inhale, you come back up to warrior two. And as you exhale, I'm just going to pivot to the other side. So I'm going to pivot my right foot. And then you can step back a little bit. And my left foot. So my left foot's now perpendicular to the front. My right is parallel. I drop it. Check that left knee. Try to get it to track nicely down the middle of that foot. That back. That back right hip of yours. Try to keep it square to the side of the mat. So you're going to feel a little pressure right through your left hip there. In your pelvic space. And now you just breathe into your belly. You breathe out. Beautiful. Gentle side angle. I'm going to bend that elbow a bit. I'm going to rest very gently. I'm not like putting all the weight into that leg. Just resting it on the quad and I'm reaching up. That's where the action is, to the right side of the body. Opening up. Breathe into the belly. Breathe out. Hold one more breath. Breathe into the belly. Breathe out. And as you breathe in, you come back up. And as you exhale, can we pause here and get a little stretch for the hamstring? So I'm going to turn to I pivoted the feet. I brought the heels a little bit out, so it's a little internal rotation of the hips. And I'm lowering down to a little wide leg. So we came in the hamstrings at the beginning there. Now we come into them a little deeper. So try to keep that spine long. I'm keeping the sides of my feet actively grabbing into the mat. So I'm feeling a nice stretch to my ankles there. And then some of you are going to get pretty low there. You have to feel that. Keep the quads a little engaged. And keep the breath nice and deep and right in your belly if you can there. Breathe into the belly. And you breathe out. Maybe you go a little deeper if you want. You breathe into the belly. And you breathe out. And then next inhale, let's come back up. All the way up. And then as you exhale, step up to the top of the mat. Take a moment. Now, before we flow again, we're going to come into eagle rep pose. So I'm going to turn to you. Dave can stay sideways, or maybe you turn to. And for the eagle rep, I'm going to breathe in. Hopefully everything is nice and open now. And as I exhale, I'm going to let my right arm swing under my left. I'm going to do 2 wraps, all right? I'm going to do it twice. The first time, I'm going to clasp my hands together, pull down, and sit into a chair. Now, if your shoulders are really tight and you can't do all that, you can just grab the shoulders like that. And then the right leg lifts up, and then we wrap right over left. So the right leg is on top of the left leg. The right arm is under the left arm. And if you do have that clasp, now some of you can get your right foot to wrap all the way up. I can do it a little bit, but it's a little forced, so I'm not going to go all the way. Find a good spot and try to keep that spine long. And breathe, yogis, breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, we breathe in. We breathe out. And then we're going to slowly come up. I'm just going to release. And as I inhale, I'm going to open back up for the other side. And as I exhale, let the left arm sweep under the right. You come around, you clasp, you pull down, or you modify and grab shoulders. You sit a little first. And then the left leg lifts. Take your time. We have the benefit, we're watching ourselves. It helps a lot. If you've got something, a mirror, that you can look at. Trying to keep the spine nice and long. Now, if you do have the interlace, pull down a bit. Feel it come in the shoulders. Now, breathe into the belly. Breathe out. Tough to breathe in the belly when you're all twisted and all wrapped, I guess is the right word. You breathe in. Breathe out. Now, I'm going to slowly come up. Second set on this, I'm going to change the hands to prayer. So I inhale, open those shoulders, and as you exhale, right's under left, hands come to prayer if you can make it there, and start with a back bend. Open up just a bit. Then come to your chair. Now the right leg's going to come up. If you can, a little higher to start. And then, see, feel that. Maybe you might feel that in your left ankle even a bit, as you stabilize the balance. Now that I'm going to try to lift my elbows up just a bit, coming up to about shoulder height. Focus, you just got to focus on one point. And breathe, a lot of concentration. Beautiful, yogis. Let's go a little lower just for a moment if you want to do that. Lower it down. Oh, and then let's come back up. Release. One more side. Now when you inhale, try to open those shoulders. Ooh. And as you exhale, left comes under right. All the way to the prayer. Remember, you can modify. Start with the back bend. Length and then opening, all right, with the back bend. It's always length first, then open. Then we sit. Left leg lifts. And it wraps. And what does that left leg do? I don't know. Maybe it gets close to the calf. And you can release, point the feet right to the mat. I try to get the elbows to come up just a bit, about shoulder height. Beautiful breath. Beautiful line there. To get the balance, you really have to get the center of mass to just come right down to the hips, right down to the right leg. And just focus, settle in a breath. And if you want to go a little lower, I'm just sitting the hips down just a bit, keeping the spine long and straight. And then I'm going to release. I'm going to come down and I'm going to go right in my flow. So I'm going to inhale, I'm going to open those shoulders, back bend if you like, And I'm going to exhale down. Inhale, half flat, extend out that forehead. As you exhale, plank the hands, step back to the plank and lower. Chaturanga. When you inhale, sweep up. When you exhale, if you want to, a push-up or two on the way to down dog. Take a breath. Right side. All right, we're going to go right to warrior two. All right, where we left off. Inhale up high. As I exhale, I step it up and I windmill the arms back to warrior two. Take a moment. Take a moment, go a little bit lower if you want. You don't have to go too low. You can go all the way. David's now very low. He's just about basically parallel. I'm up a little bit higher. It's the morning, so yogis, do what feels right to you. Right knee, tracking at the middle there. Shoulders relax, but the arms don't drop. They stay nice and level. You just focus now. Now let's hold warrior two, a couple breaths here. Focusing right out on one fingertip. Can you breathe into that belly? Breathe in, let that belly expand out, exhale. Now reverse warrior this time. So I'm going to reach up. And for me, you can see the camera. If you're looking, David's a little bit more reaching back. He's a little more reversing. I'm reaching straight up. For me, that feels just right. You don't want to feel over compression in your left side. You want to feel right side opening, right shoulder opening, right leg. Remember that leg is key. It's a strong leg. It's pressing. It's engaging. And now I'm breathing into the belly. I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. All right, now give that leg a moment. I'm going to go to my triangle. Straighten the leg. You might want to bring your back foot in just a bit. And just let your hips get a little sassy. All right, you slide that left hip back. You reach and you pivot. Nice little stretch right down that right, inside that right hamstring. Reach up. Now my right hand is high up on my leg, my knee or my shin. Some of you are going a little lower. Looking up. Maybe stretching a little bit to the top of that right ankle. You can keep that right foot down. Breathe in, yogis. And breathe out. We breathe in. We breathe out. And as you inhale, you come back to warrior two. And I'm just going to shift this again to the back of the mat for the left side. So I'm going to pivot the feet. Take a moment or two. Drop into that warrior two. Now my left leg now is leading me. I want my right hip to be nice and square. I pick how low I want to go. Now that you know that's a lot of work, the lower you go. And I want to have a nice set base, if you want to say that. So the feet are planted. I'm even reaching into the mat with the outside of my right foot. So I'm feeling that nicely in my ankle. Shoulders relaxed. I'm going to focus on one fingertip of my lead hand there, my left hand. I'm going to breathe into my belly. And we breathe out. Strong leg press in. One more breath. Breathe in. Beautiful. Breathe out. Reversing the warrior there. Reaching up. Breathing in. Breathing out. Remember, you're reaching straight up or you're reaching back a bit. Strong left leg as you breathe in. Then we breathe out. And then we come to the triangle. I'm going to straighten that leg. I may bring my back foot in a little bit, my back leg. That can be a little more accessible. And give those hips a moment. You can slide them a bit. I'm reaching my right hip back. And I just kind of pivot. And I'm reaching up. If you're coming from warrior two, like we did here in the triangle, that's a pretty wide base. So you listen to that leg. It's a lot of big stretch in that lead leg. And feel free to bring that back leg in a bit. And now try to really open up to that right side. Breathing in. Beautiful. Breathing out. And now as you inhale, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do that stretch again. I'm going to come to the center. So I turn my feet wide legged. Remember, a little internal rotation of the hips. Now this time the hands are going to come behind the hips. I'm going to interlace the fingers. I'm going to start with an inhale and opening in the heart. And then as I exhale, I come down. So I'm going to work the shoulders a bit into the stretch. See what you can do with that one. You're trying to shift the weight subtly, let's say, forward into the balls of the feet, but then you bring your hips back as you do that, and you get a little longer in the spine, and maybe the shoulders release. Let's release the clasp. Before we come up, how about a twist? Now for my twist, I've got to come just on my fingertips. So I don't want to be bending my back. So I'm going to just have my left fingertips in the ground. I'm going to reach the hips back, and I'm just going to open the heart. That could be enough. If it feels okay, it's your low back you're listening to here. If you're not ready for that twist, don't worry about bringing the arm up. Just open the heart up. So you lengthen, open the heart, and then you come back down the other side. Maybe just the fingertips. Some of you can go lower. It's length in the spine. The belly's a little bit engaged, and the twist comes up into the heart. Then maybe you reach up. If you want to force it a little bit, be gentle, right? Keep that belly engaged. Protect the low back. All right, come back down. Now use your glutes and your hamstrings, engage. And as you inhale, lift yourself back up. And then as you exhale, you step up to the top. Take a moment. Now I'm going to bring us into one of our more challenging standing poses for balance. We're going to come into a little dancer pose. All right, we'll see how this one goes. I'm going to start with the right side. Maybe you go straight on, David, and I'll go to the side. So I'm going to start with the elbow on the hip, the hands out, cupping, and I'm going to stand up on one leg. I'm going to bring that right hand down, I'll go this way, and I'm going to grab the ankle. Now, before you go further, you need to get that right knee to come right next to that left knee. So I bring the knees together, and I reach my left arm up. Beautiful, tough balance here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to kick back and away. I want to feel that in my shoulder. I'm going to try to pivot. I'm not going to go very low. I'm looking forward. We'll do 2 of these, all right? 2 sets. So just take your time. This first one. Ooh, if you're losing your balance, it's hard to recover if you're losing your balance in the middle. Now, I want you to keep kicking back. Ooh, try to feel that right shoulder opening up, reaching out to counter it, reaching out, and let's come back. Beautiful. And then release. Let that left shoulder sweep back. And take a moment and take a little bow. That's to counter the back bend. So give the spine a moment there. All right, let's come back. Let's try the other side. This time the left. Elbows on the hip. I'm cupping the hand. I'm bringing down. My hands opened up. It's a little bit awkward. And I grab that. Hey, if you need help, you grab a chair or you put your hand on the wall. Now bring your left knee right into your right. Start to open that shoulder. Reach up. Now I start to kick back and away. So I'm letting the hip open a bit, right? I'm not keeping my hip square for this dancer. I'm opening that left hip a bit, open that shoulder, and I want to really kick back with that leg and reach out to counter and look out, yogis, and come back up. Big back bend there, you feel that. And then release. That right is for the shoulder, the rotator cuff. Take a moment, bow, feel your back. Maybe wiggle around a bit. Second set, let's come back up. Second set, some of you know, you can go deeper if you're ready for that. So right side, coming onto that, getting right on the inside of the ankle, my knees, there, my shoulders opening up. I'm reaching, I'm going to be like pressing down my left foot, reaching up my left hand. So my whole left side of my body is very active. And then I kick, and I'm going to try to just pivot and come right back. I'm looking at one spot. I want to look at you, yogis, but I can't. I got to look straight out. And I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to kick back. Try to open up a little bit. That right hip, that right shoulder. Reach out. And then let's come back. And when you're ready, you come back, yogis, and you release. And you take a moment and take a bow. Hang a moment. Give the shoulders and the neck. You come up. I haven't practiced this pose, and it's been a long time. I don't usually do this pose when I'm by myself at home. This is one that works really well for the mirror for me. So now I'm going to bring the left side. I get the knee in, right arms up. I'm going to reach up, very active right side, kick back, and I'm going to try to just use my muscle memory, if you want to call it that, and I'm just going to release right back to about where I left off. And I'm reaching right out into the window, and I'm kicking and I'm opening. I'm maybe going a little lower. And then you come back when you're ready, and you release. Ooh, and you take a bow. And you take a breath. Give a little cement mixing here. If you want, for the arms and the shoulders and the back there, if there's any tension there, let it release. And now let's slowly, while we're here, let's just go ahead and drop the hands down and step the feet back. So I'm going to bring this right back into our plank. We'll take a moment here in the plank position, and we'll just reset things here. So press those hands in the mat. Ooh, strong back. All right, so engage. So it's trying to draw the shoulder blades a little bit apart. Engage the belly, brace the belly. Squeeze the glutes, strong line to that body. Now let's see if we can lower that line all the way to the ground, or hover in chaturanga, elbows at about a 90-degree angle. Then when you inhale, you sweep up or you open up. And as you exhale, you roll back, maybe a push up if you want. All right, down dog, take a breath. Walk it in a bit if you like. Now, yogis, we come to our warrior ones. So I'm going to inhale my right leg up. And I'm going to exhale it through. Now, for my warrior one, I'm going to bring my back foot in a little bit. I'm going to drop the heel down now. I'm going to come up. So my back foot's at about a 45, 60-degree angle. And I come up. And if you're a little winded, or if you just need a little pause, you bring your hands right down to your heart. Try to get those hips ears are starting to square up. I like to kind of draw my right hip back. Just kind of draw it back a bit. It will automatically bring your left hip up just a bit to square. I don't want to force it. If your back foot there, if your left foot's opened up a bit too much and you start to square up, you're just going to torque through your knee joint. So you want to get the left hip and the left knee and the left foot all basically one line, right? Try to get those to square up with each other, line up. And then breathe, strong, right? Strong base here. That right leg, it can get really lazy because there's not a lot of load there. So I want you to try to get it active by pressing down. And I want you to do even a little bit more with that. I want you to start to draw in your mind. I want you to draw your heels of your feet towards each other. So you feel that coming a little bit into your inner thighs. You squeeze them in together. And then I want you to draw your pelvic floor, all right? I want you to draw it together and pull it up. So your legs are very active, your pelvic floor is drawing in, you're pulling it up, and all that is just happening below the hips. So lots of action going on down there with nothing visible on the outside. Your face is placid and calm, and your breath is flowing, but those legs are strong. Yogis breathing in. And as you exhale, let's just release and let's flow to the other side. So I'm going to bring the hands down. I'm going to step back. If you want, keep it like lifted, you could. Lower down. When you breathe in, you sweep up. My feet come down to the ground when I do that. And when I exhale, I do a push up or two. All right. Left side. Inhale that up high. Come to that warrior one. When you exhale, step it up. That back foot, maybe you come in a bit. I'll shift to the front. I'm going to drop that heel down. I'm going to come up. There we go. Now take a moment. One way you can do that Dave likes to do is you bring your hands can come down. You can bring your left arm back behind your hips, and you can kind of help square the hips up a bit with your use of your arms. And your hands, when you get those shoulders to open up nicely. It can feel good. That back foot, don't let it start to come off the ground. I want you to keep grabbing, if you will, into the mat with the side of that back foot, the outside of it, right? And then you come back up to warrior one. Now don't let the shoulders pack in. Remember, draw them down a bit. Now let's get those legs a little bit of work. So start to pull, start to drag. Just in your mind, you're doing that. You're dragging the heels in. You're kind of pulling them towards each other. And you're taking your pelvic floor and you're taking it someplace. You're drawing it in together and you pull it up. I kind of exaggerating that when I do a little bit of that hip pulling a little. pelvic tilt, but I'm just trying to work in there. I'm feeling that in my right, inside my right hamstring there. Strong legs, all right? You're dragging them in, but you're also grounding. So it's like double whammy. And then you breathe in. And when you exhale, just release, all right? Plant those hands, step it back, flow down. Inhale, sweep up. And as you exhale, down dog. Now, if you're in a tight spot, I want you to shift a little bit towards your back. We're going to come up to crescent to warrior three. So I want to make sure you have enough room in front of you. I'm going to start with the right side. I'm going to inhale it up high. As I exhale, I step it up. And I breathe into my crescent. And to come to that warrior three, yogis, I slowly shift the weight forward and try to take your time. Ooh, that right leg is getting work today. And I'm going to modify. I'm going to bring my hands right into my heart to begin. I can level the hips off nicely. I can lift the left leg up. There you go. All right, so hips are nice and square. Right leg is strong and active. Now, if you wanted to reach both arms out, that's tough. Breathe in. Breathe out. Ooh. Can we do that again? Breathe in. Breathe out. And now I'm going to slowly come to standing. Okay? I'm going to give that right leg a moment. So I'm going to plant my left leg down. My right leg is going to come up, and I'm going to find a little stretch and a little balance. All right? Peace fingers to big toe. The right leg. I grab it. Straighten that left leg. Now I want all my focus on that left leg. And if you weren't following, I switched legs, all right, in the middle, so that my right leg can get a rest. Now I'm going to extend that out. Maybe the knee stays bending. I don't want to bend through the back. Keep the spine long. Breathe into the belly. Breathe out. One more time. You breathe in. You breathe out. And as I release, I'm going to just go all the way down to the ground, to the chaturanga, or down to the mat. I'm going to inhale, sweep up. And as I exhale, maybe a push-up, maybe two. Take a breath, left side when you're ready. We're going to inhale, left leg up high. I'm going to exhale through. First breath's the crescent. Now take your time as you come to warrior three. So I'm going to try to just shift the weight. My left leg is getting stronger, and I float that right leg up. I bring my hands in my heart at first. Collect yourselves. Try to square that right hip. Lift that leg up a bit. Maybe you just stay here and breathe. Challenging right here. Maybe you reach out. Ooh, and you try not to lose your balance. And breathe, yogis. Breathe into the belly. We breathe out. Try to really straighten that left leg. You breathe in, lift that right leg. You breathe out. And then as you inhale, I'm going to come back down on the ground. I'm going to pivot that right foot down. Take a moment. We're going to finish with this left leg. So I'm going to open it. I open my hip just a bit. I reach down, I grab it. I've got to bend down at first. Kind of curve down. But before I go further, I want to reestablish that open heart, that long spine. My right leg. This could be enough. Or you could just hold it on your knee. Or if you'd like, if that right leg is nice and steady, you kick the left leg right out. Some of you even like to open the hip at the end. You could do that. I'm going to breathe into the belly, yogis. And I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. And then I'm going to release. I'm going to come back down. From here, yogis, I'm just going to inhale a gentle back bend. And as I exhale, a little stretch for the right side. Can we do that right back where we began? Can we inhale in the middle? And we exhale, a little stretch to the left side. Come back, breathe in, gentle back bend. And as you exhale, a little fold. Take a moment, all right? Bend the knees a bit, hang, soft fold. Right where we began. Hands can come on the elbows, you sway a little back and forth. Give that back a few moments. Head hangs. And then slowly we rise up. Walking the hands up the front of the legs. It's one way we can do that. Letting the arms hang and dangle. And from here, yogis, your last time you inhale and you just open up just a bit or reach up if you want. And when you exhale, hands come to your heart. Hands come to your heart. Your eyes can come to your screen, and we can just take a moment and tell each other namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, yogis, for coming. Find the finishing poses, find a finishing shavasana if you like. Maybe come into seated meditation if you like. You yogis, finish how you like, or maybe just walk right out of your room to your hopefully awaiting cup of coffee, cup of tea, breakfast, whatever you like. Namaste, my friends. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.